You would think I'd be a pro at this by now. I'm not. We're going to blame the coffee, though. Or a lack of coffee. How many other shows are based around the concept that the host is not at their best when they start the show? I don't know that anybody does that. 3, 2, 1. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Today is Wednesday. It's December 16th, 2020. My name is Jeremy, and this is my first cup of coffee. Hope you're drinking something along with me. Oh, that's good. And I hope you're warm wherever you are. If you saw the thumbnail image for the episode I uploaded, it's 6 degrees outside. Not 6 degrees Celsius, 6 degrees Fahrenheit. It is very cold. Had a fire going in the stove last night, got it up nice and toasty. It was 75 in the open areas. And I went to bed. I did not freeze because that's what a wood stove does. It's very nice. I hope you had a good Monday. And Tuesday, because I meant Tuesday, because it's Wednesday. Good morning, Andrew. It was busy. Had an interview, podcast interview. Got verbal commitment on a pretty large client project. It's a pretty big deal. It probably will take up the majority of my free time for the first few months of 2021. So that's pretty cool. I'm pumped about that. Good morning, Nathan. You know what's interesting to me is that the numbers of people, so I have a number of things here that you can't see. One of them, it says, you're live, is how long you've been live, how many people are watching, and how many thumbs up you get. The number of people watching live is not accurate. It never has been, as evidenced by the fact that it says 1, and we just had Andrew and Nathan chime in. I don't know how that happens. I don't know that it matters, but it's the case. So, I only got a little bit of writing done, only. And you know what? Maybe I should be kinder to myself. I got 4 pages, 4 full Microsoft Word pages. And that doesn't feel like much. And Nathan says to blame ninjas. It very well could. Well, you guys are both ninjas, so maybe it's your fault. Maybe I'm just setting the bar too high on how much writing I'm getting done. I want to get this book done. I like the book. But you know why I think it's taking a while? Is that some of these situations and some of this dialogue are really complex. Because I don't want them to be lame. So we're in the second to last chapter. And 2 of the more prominent characters are tackling something together. And there are romantic undertones. And there are there's personal baggage for both of them related to their independence and their need to work together and this situation that they're in. And about half of what I write is lame, so I gotta fix it. And I don't know about you, but I hate lame dialogue. I hate lame story plots. A good number of the books that I listen to on Audible and a lot of TV, a lot of movies, dialogue just becomes so obvious. It's so pointless. And I don't want to do that. I'm trying to find balance between reality and enough excitement that people want to keep reading. So we'll see if I get there. I mean, I'll finish the book at some point. Just who knows when. Now I understand. I understand so many of the cliches about authors now. Stacey says it's 3 degrees up her way. Andrew's asking if, he says, speaking of Audible, are you planning on doing an audio version of your book? I am. So the Martial Artist Handbook has an audio version. and I actually recorded the audio first, and then we transcribed from that. So if you listen to the first edition of Martial Arts Handbook, it's all improv. It's all riff. I went from an outline because I thought that would be the fastest way to develop that book. And at the time, given what I knew, it was. But now we're going the other way. I, probably no surprise, think best and am able to, I think best when I speak, and I'm able to speak faster than I can write. I'm a pretty fast typist, but if I want to keep my thoughts organized, I do better with that verbally. So that's where Microsoft Word's dictate feature comes in. And anybody who has read any of the chapters that I've put up on, what's that called? Patreon. Anybody who's read those chapters knows that they're really rough. A lot of weird punctuation and stuff because of that. I haven't edited it yet. I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. Woo! Andrew says, yeah, it's been kind of funny in a few spots. Definitely has. More than a few. That's not a criticism. Good. Because I don't believe in editing until I'm done. If I write something like yesterday, I wrote a piece for Martial Journal on the relationship between martial arts and pop culture. MartialJournal.com. It's not up yet, but it'll be up soon. I write the whole thing out and don't make any changes or edits until I'm done. And then I go back through it. It's just my process. It's how I do it. Speaking of how I do, what am I doing today? Working on the book. I have a call with Jenny, who is director of books. We're going to talk about what the next few books to come out of all the podcast transcripts will be. I got a bunch of those. And I've got some ideas. What else is going on? Do the finances, aka do the books. Client call. I think I have something in the afternoon, but I can't remember. Maybe at some point I get my car back. I don't know. I've been with a Volkswagen Jetta since Monday morning. I didn't leave the house yesterday. I didn't even go to the mailbox. It was cold. I didn't want to. But they are replacing the leather on the back seat. Like they're putting a whole new seat in, which I'm sure is going to look perfect. As well as a handful of other things. And as soon as I get that car back, I'm starting the process on the new one. I'm so sick of this junk. I get people writing to me. So I put videos up on my personal YouTube channel. I get people writing to me literally daily. Sometimes I get 3, 4, 5 people writing to me in a day. And initially it was people who didn't believe me, Mazda fans that were being jerks. Not anymore. It's people with the same problems, some offering advice, some offering sympathy. And work out later. I got I think we'll see it when I get into the comments later. There was a comment from Gabe yesterday about teaching something, and I brought up my strategy for, here's how you can teach some basic kicks, using body positioning people are already used to. And I really think that that's what we need to do as martial artists. I think we need to break those concepts down to give people something that gets them 90% of the way there very quickly so they can see some success. If you can teach someone how to throw a safe side kick in a few minutes, they can kick a bag, they can kick a board. You give them 3 or 4 techniques, now they can spar slowly. And I think it's a better strategy than beating the nuance into them. So yesterday I talked about side kick, front knee to front kick to side kick as a stomp. And if you want to teach them how to throw a round kick, roundhouse kick, yesterday I talked about knee up and then stomp for a side kick so the knee comes up and out. Have them do a side kick. Good morning, Emmett. Have them do a side kick without the knee up in front. Just have them put it out, put it out, put it out. And then have them, depending on how you teach foot positioning, either extend the foot or not. That's pretty darn close to the way most people are going to throw it. Once you get that there, then you can teach them kick your butt and then do it. Kick your butt, then do it. Right? And that creates the round action. There's your side kick, there's your round kick. If you want to teach a hook kick, do a side kick over there, and now kick your butt. Side kick over there, kick your butt. What other kicks are there? Crescent kicks are way harder. Crescent kick to me comes from a front kick. Do a front kick from there to there. Then bring your foot back and kick your butt. What else? Back kick. Back kick's just a stomp. It's a stomp behind you. Honestly, I think most people teach it. Most people misunderstand a back kick. The moment that hip rolls out, it's a side kick. You can do a side kick behind you. There's nothing wrong with that. But to me, a back kick requires those toes being pointed down because that's how you get glute activation. And trying to get glute activation as anything definitely above the waist, but really even above the knee is really hard if you want to make it powerful. What other kicks are there? Oh, we got comments. Emmett says, teach a man to low block, just try punch him in the balls. Every guy has natural instinct to perform a low block perfectly. Yeah, that's a great point. And then Andrew says, back kick, the only natural, quote unquote, natural kick the human body was designed to do. I think I could agree with that. I think I can get behind that. And then punches, how do you have a pen? You know how everybody struggles to teach people how to make a fist? Just give them a pen. Give them a pen, and they will, and say, hold this pen as tight as you can. And they will do this. They're not going to do this if you tell them to hold the pen as tight as they can. They're not going to do this if you tell them to hold the pen as tight. Take them, give them a pen or a pencil. Now wrap your hand around it and squeeze it as tight as you can. That's a fist. Done. You just taught somebody how to make a fist in half a second. Well, you're going to take these fingers and you're going to wrap them. You're going to put them around here, and then you're going to... Stop. It's not that hard. I've taught classes where people refuse to keep their hands closed tightly, especially during forms. I'll break a pencil in half and put one half in each hand. Oh, but what about the open hand stuff? Oh, is your open hand stuff supposed to be like this? No, no. Is it supposed to be like this? Quite often. So you still have to hold the pencil. Still works. I would be really good at teaching people the first day of their martial arts classes. Maybe less so as we get into more nuance. I can. I certainly can. And I enjoy nerding out on that stuff. Just, I don't have fun, semi-sarcastic concepts for teaching someone advanced techniques. The guest that I interviewed yesterday, we talked about this transition from traditional training that he had into more competitive focused stuff. And I said, well, how did that happen? And he's like, well, it started with, and he threw out this name, and I was like, that name's awfully familiar. And so as I'm talking to the person, this is half of why I don't want to do guest interviews with video, because then they'll see me on my phone as I get context. So I grab my phone. This is not my phone. And, person's name, whistlekick. Yep, episode 354. Ah, shoot, I just said. Was that the episode number? It may or may not have been. Episode whatever. And I said, yeah, that person was on the show. Episode such and such. And they're like, oh, wow, small world. It really is. Stacy chimes in, oh, I'm sure you have fun and semi-sarcastic all the time. I do. And Stacy, I hope whatever's going on with the kitties is going to be okay. Stacy's got some kitty stuff going on. All right. Let's see what you all wrote in. Let's check out the questions and the quotes and the comments and the feedback and the cliches and the stuff. Let's just check out the stuff. We got some notifications here. So the first one was Gabe. We are starting an adult self-defense class in the new year, so knowing how to teach a kick to non-martial artists simply is really helpful. I enjoy the complexity of breaking down the technique, so it's a good reminder for me to keep it simple. Yes. Good. Oh, and Stacy says that, yes, kitty stuff is going better. Good. Yeah, I would suggest that if you're teaching self-defense, if you're going to teach a self-defense class, and the goal is for people to be better able to defend themselves in life, if it's a 1-hour class, you shouldn't be teaching them more than 2 or 3 movements. Most of what you need to teach them is psychological, it's situational, and the techniques you should give them are those that they would be willing to use. This is, and I will continue to rail against this. This is not meant to be disrespectful of anyone who is watching or anyone who does not do this. Here's the problem I see with martial arts instructors teaching self-defense. They don't go simple enough. If you get someone for 90 minutes and that's it, and you are teaching them a wrist lock, you are wrong. You're wrong. How many people, let's put it this way, as a martial arts instructor, if you're teaching a wrist lock in a self-defense class, there's a pretty good chance that you've taught a wrist lock to your students. Let's say you work on that wrist lock 15 minutes at a time. Let's say 10 minutes at a time. How many of your students get it in the first 4 or 5 times you work on it? And get it so well that if you try to attack them, they will successfully deploy that movement. 0? Then you have no business teaching it in a self-defense class. It's too advanced. It's too complex. What should you be teaching? I think that falls into 2 categories. 1, stuff that people can learn how to do incredibly quickly. 2, stuff that does not make people worried that they will genuinely harm the attacker. Why? Oh, but Jeremy, that person's going to hurt them. They won't care. Well, first off, some people will. Some people are so opposed to violence, so instinctively resistant to violence that they won't deploy necessary force. 2, most people are going to wait until it's too late. Most people want to be sure that what they're doing is the right movement. So, if you give them movements that don't actually injure people, I did a whole episode on this. That's where you go. That's where my favorite movement is pulling up on the nose, or pinching the inside of the thigh, or spitting, or scraping the bottom of your shoe down someone's shin. These are things that are effective, easy, and nobody's going to jail if you get it wrong. Because that's important. People think about that stuff. So, if I had an hour and a half with a self-defense class, I'd be teaching that stuff. I I would be teaching them the value of yelling. I would be teaching them the value of not appearing to be a target. Um, what is it, 5-stage de-escalation. Words and being gross and being silly and funny, that stuff. And then finally, for actual movements, I would be teaching people hammer fist, and I would be teaching people front kick and knee. That's it. That's all they need to know. They're not going to turn sideways. If they turn sideways, they're too likely to turn around. That doesn't help them. If they're on their back, they can still use a knee, a front kick, and a hammer fist. If they're standing up, they can still do it. If they are being carried over someone's shoulder, if they're facing the ground, they can still do those things. You're looking at versatility. Now, if you're teaching a self-defense series where maybe you get people for 6 to 8 weeks for 2, 3, 4 hours a week, then you can start adding some more complicated stuff in. But still, though, instead of a wrist lock, right? Because it's a wrist lock and we can do this. Instead of that, teach them the thing about pushing on the thumb or the fingers, and you push on the nail and how much it hurts. That's the stuff. That's easy stuff. Teach them easy stuff. If you teach them easy stuff, they will come back. If you teach them complicated stuff that's over their head, they're going to bail. And we've got some stuff from Jim Carrey. We've got some stuff from Frank about Jim Carrey. There we go. Jim Carrey has become famous as a comedian and an actor. Recently, he played Joe Biden on Saturday Night Live. But did you know he's also a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu under Royce Gracie? I did not know that. Did you know that he's also a painter and paints really big canvases, crazy big canvases? I think everybody should get rich and famous and do everything they ever dreamed of so they can see that it's not the answer. We have these ideas that what is keeping us from being happy is a lack of stuff. It's a lack of someone else. It's a lack of physical things, the lack of money. It's a lack of time. And in some cases, that may be true. But if you look to others or the universe for your happiness, you will always do that. It is possible to be happy while you don't have those things. And if you work on being happy where you are with what you have, you're going to be that much happier as those other things happen. I can choose to look at my life in two very different ways. I choose to look at it as from a position of gratitude and happiness and joy, thankfulness. A lot of those are basically the same concept. You get the point. And I'll continue to do so. Because I've looked at my life from the other way, from one of, but once and if only, those things all happen. So. Yeah. I like Jim Carrey. I don't like a lot of Jim Carrey's movies. I find that over-the-top physical comedy, it has its place, and he's a phenomenal actor. But I think the ability to dial it back a little bit, I'm sure he has the ability, but it's not his style. The effect you have on others is the most valuable currency there is. Emmett says, endurance is the greatest discipline. Only those that endure will succeed. And Andrew says, I'm self-employed because of Jim Carrey. Ask me sometime. Well, that's a story. I want to hear that one. Andrew and I will be recording a couple more episodes next week, and maybe he'll tell that story on the air. What did I just read? Something about currency? The effect you have on others is the most valuable currency there is. We're all in this together. Might as well treat people well. Might as well be kind. You might as well be friendly. You might as well help them out. Because what's it like when nobody helps you? It's rough. Why would you want people to go through life that way? Why wouldn't you help them? We talked about service yesterday, the importance of service. There are a lot of things that we can be known for. I would much rather be known for being kind and helpful and supportive of others than just about anything else. My report card always said, Jim finishes first and then disrupts the other students. You probably could have said that about me early on. Back before, the complete stratification that kids do, where I ended up at the bottom. Back in first, second, third grade when everybody knows everybody else. I was generally done first, and I did not do well with not having something to do, with being bored. Wasn't my scene. And sometimes teachers didn't know how to handle that. Over the last 6 months, there have been some really interesting, I don't know what's causing it, but a really interesting shift in the way memories are happening in my brain. I am remembering things that I haven't thought about in some cases, 30 years, 40 years. Maybe not that much, I'm only 41, 30 plus years. Very vivid memories, and it's blowing my mind. And I just thought of something that happened in third grade, something that happened in fourth grade. The third grade thing isn't even worth sharing. It's not going to be terribly descriptive. Stacy says, I feel your pain on the teachers not knowing how to handle you in school. Yeah. And I had some great teachers, I really did, but not all of them. There was an incident on the playground, and I threw a high roundhouse kick, not at someone, but near someone. I remember feeling mildly threatened, and at my age, that seemed to be the best strategy. Kind of like I guess the best thing I would compare it to is when an animal, like the hair goes up and they growl, like that kind of a thing. Well, the playground monitor saw, and insisted on me having detention. And I remember sitting at my desk, wow, I haven't thought about this in so long, after it happened towards the end of recess, so I went back to class, and I refused to leave the room because I didn't do anything wrong. I was protecting myself. I was doing what needed to be done. He picked me up. It was a great example of how to not de-escalate a situation. He picked me up. The desk started to come with me. Brought me outside. Set me down against the wall outside. Held me by my neck. I don't remember what he said. And was trying to calm me down. If you ever have to calm somebody down, don't choke them. Can you imagine what would happen to that guy today if he did this? Um, it's a great example of how, yes, I was not compliant with the rules of the school. But was that the way to enforce them? And Andrew says, "Oh my goodness, yeah." And I think back to how my mother handled that, because on the one hand, she needed to support the school's enforcement of the rules, but at the same time, she knew what was going on. So I spent an hour at recess or something in this guy's room, never spoke to him again, this teacher. I would still punch him in the face. How old? Well, he'd be old now. He'd probably be in his 70s, so I don't think I would actually punch him in the face. That story took a little while. I haven't thought about that in a very long time. And my mind, I'm having 1 to 2 of those a day come through. I have no idea why. Something is weird with my memory. It's not a bad thing, it's just strange. Behind every great man is a woman rolling her eyes. What do you say to that? Emmett says, I was not compliant at school and on the edge of getting thrown out until a teacher that had a jiu-jitsu club suggested he train me after school and teach me respect. 26 years later, and I'm still doing it. Awesome. The irony was, I was a great student. I'd already been in karate for years. Teachers generally loved me. My issues were with the other kids. So, there's an interesting note we're going to end on. We're going to end on that because we're 32 minutes into a show that when we launched was meant to be 10. It's okay. I like this format better. I hope you have a great day. I hope that whatever it is you do, you maybe think about Jim Carrey. Maybe you think about the simplicity of technique. Maybe you think about de-escalation. Whatever it is, I hope you enjoy it. I hope you have a productive, happy day. I hope you're grateful for what you have. And I hope to see you back here tomorrow. If you want to grab one of these mugs, they're at whistlekick.com. They're not that much money. Free shipping. Oh, and one last thing. And I'll be saying this over the next few weeks. We have some ads starting to run on Facebook. If you see them, please throw some thumbs up and love and comments. I think was it Andrew? Somebody, no, it was my buddy Paul. My friend Paul saw it and gave it a thumbs up. It's like anything martial artists advertise, it's going to get some hate. So if you guys can help me diffuse some of that and offset it, that would be great for my self-esteem. All right. Thank you so much. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Leave me some stuff to talk about. I appreciate you. Peace.